From the campaign trail to Capitol Hill, buckle up because the Hill is rewinding the politics, events, and power players that have shaped our national headline.
With us once again here on the Hill, she is the Republican Congresswoman from the state of Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene, sits on the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. Nice to have you in.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. We normally do this remotely, so appreciate you coming in studio. That post, look, I could talk to probably 200 Democrats, 200 Republicans, and they'd give me the party line talking points, right, on either side. You came out and said no on these health insurance premiums. Your own kids, you said their premiums would double. When did you learn of that from your kids? And I guess when they told you that or you found out about it, sort of what went through your mind?
Well, if you follow my post, health insurance is something I've been talking about for quite a while. Insurance across the board, it's crushing people. The cost of living is gone so high in the past 4.5 years, and it hasn't come down. Rent is unaffordable. You can't buy a home. A lot of people don't even know if they'll ever be able to buy a home. But insurance premiums are unbelievably high.
Up and to the right.
Yep, and they're looking to go up. Not only people on the ACA, but people that have private plans as well. This is the #1 issue I hear about in my district. I work for Georgia's 14th district, and so I'm willing to take off team jerseys, so to speak, right now and call it literally like it is. This is a crisis in America, and I really want to work on it.
So privately, are you hearing Republicans tell you, yeah, you're right, or have you not heard that yet?
I've only talked to a few people today. They agree with me. But to be honest with you, since the government is shut down, we haven't had much conversation, much communication at all within our conference, which I also think is a major problem. The House is not in session. We should be. We should be working on appropriations. That's important to me. I really want to get appropriations, tax dollars back to my district. And I also think we have other important work to do. So I was largely against the CR. I want to do appropriations, and I don't think the government should be shut down right now.
So how do Republicans don't want to tie this issue to funding. You obviously think this is an issue. It has to be taken up at the end of the year. Do you think this should be tied to the funding battle now, or get the government open and then deal with it later?
Right. Well, so I'm coming from a business background. I believe in walking and chewing gum at the same time. I think we should be able to work on all of this at the same time. What I am doing is sounding the alarm bells. This is a major crisis in America. When people are working paycheck to paycheck, they can't make ends meet, and we are looking at a massive spike in health insurance premiums. It's going to crush people. They're going to have to drop their health insurance, and that could put a lot of people in danger of being bankrupt with hospital bills or health care bills. And I don't think that's the right way to treat the American people. We're elected by them. Their taxpayer dollars fund our paychecks. They fund the entire government. And I believe the American people deserve better.
So I hear your point. The House Speaker Mike Johnson just spoke with our Leland Vittert. Full interview later tonight here on News Nation. But I want to play a part of that for you and get your reaction on the other side.
There is no daylight between House Republicans, Senate Republicans, President Trump, and the White House. We're united, and that's why we're winning this fight, and it's an important one for the American people. With regard to the subsidies, remember, that is 100% a red herring. It's a distraction. This is what Chuck Schumer and the Democrats put together to try to make the issue of the day.
He said the issue of the subsidies, you couldn't hear it, so he said the issue of the subsidies is a red herring. And it's something essentially that Chuck Schumer and Democrats are talking about right now.
Well, no, the issues of the subsidies are real. It's not something that anybody can say is made up. Also, people with regular or private plans, their premiums are looking to go up a median of 18%. That's brutal. I know a lot of small business owners, like a family of 4, and they're paying $2,000 a month. $2,000 a month with deductibles of $7,000 to $10,000, and approximately 40% of these people don't even use their health insurance. So they're just burning money just in case they might have cancer, or just in case they have a terrible car accident. And then you've got single moms, many Americans that are really struggling that are on the ACA. If you double their health insurance or even triple it, these people are they're either gonna have to drop it, or they're gonna be choosing between rent and their health insurance.
So on the bigger question of health care in America, right? Obviously, the Affordable Care Act is the law of the land. 23 million Americans use it. Here's what President Trump said yesterday, and then I want to pick it up.
We are speaking with the Democrats, and some very good things could happen with respect to health care.
Would you make a deal with them on the ACA subsidies?
If we made the right deal, I'd make a deal, sure.
So he talks about speaking with the Democrats there. And the question is, look, I remember back in 2017, the first thing Republicans were going to do was repeal and replace Obamacare. Here we are 9 years later, and it's still the law of the land.
Right.
Do you want to see your party go down the path of repeal and replace Obamacare and put in Trump care or whatever the heck you want to call it?
Back in those years, I very much supported that. This was before I became a member of Congress. The ACA, Obamacare, hurt my family very much. Our health insurance went from $800 a month to over $2,400 after the ACA was passed. But here's the issue, though. We are years past this.
Yeah.
And the health insurance industry has dramatically changed. Many of these insurance companies went out of business or stopped offering health plans. So we're in a situation where the landscape has changed. Simply repealing that is not a easy solution that will solve the issue for Americans. I think it's much more complex. And that's why I'm talking about it. I'm not here as a politician saying, here's my 10-point plan. I think that's a bunch of BS.
Okay.
I'm literally here in Washington saying, we're in a crisis. We have to fix this, and I am fed up with watching American tax dollars go to everything from the Ukraine war to Israel to Egypt to Jordan, and on programs that are completely useless. I'm literally here in Washington saying, you guys, if we don't fix this right now, Americans are going to be hurting, and they really don't care about R&D. They're going to be talking about what's happening to their bank accounts, what's happening to their family, and that's how they're going to vote. And I think Republicans got to get real and actually come up with a solution.
Let me leave you with this, because you mentioned you are here in town. Thomas Massie, and I know this is an issue that you've been talking about. He's a Republican from Kentucky. The government is shut down, but the House refuses to go back in session. This is his post. Why are we in recess, he asks. He says, because the day we go back into session, I have 218 votes for the discharge petition to force a vote on releasing the Epstein files. Speaker Johnson doesn't want that to be the news. Do you think Massie is onto something there?
Possibly. You know, my signature is on that discharge petition. And there has not been another issue where I have ever received more pressure than that one. And I'm pretty much shocked by it. I can't imagine. I've never understood how this is an issue. I think when it comes to women being raped, especially when they were 14 years old, that's pretty black and white. Seems like everyone should agree that this is the information that should be released. Thomas Massie could be right about that. I'll add another issue that we have as Republicans. We have a one-seat majority right now until the Mark Green of Tennessee seat is filled, and that doesn't happen until December. So that could be another problem, especially if there's an attendance issue. I think it's multi-layered, but there seems to be a major effort to block that discharge petition.
Give me a date real quick. You think the shutdown ends when?
I have no idea, but it doesn't seem it's opening up soon. But I will say, when we're seeing airports having to shut down and we're seeing people truly suffer, there's a lot of pressure.
We're live in Burbank, California, later in the show. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, thanks for coming in tonight. Nice to do this in person.
Thanks for having me.
Let's also talk about the Green New Deal. You know that I have challenged AOC to debate the Green New Deal. She sponsored this atrocious piece of basically destroy America's economy policy plan that she introduced back in 2018. You know, in 2018, when AOC introduced the Green New Deal, most of us thought it was a big joke. We laughed at it and didn't think there was any way possible for this type of policy to be passed. But make no mistake, the Green New Deal policies are being woven into nearly every single major piece of legislation that the Democrats are putting forward. And AOC herself just recently said that she's so proud of President Joe Biden because he is actually coming through and achieving what she wants him to achieve with her progressive views, which are really communist views, and what she wants to see with in regards to the Green New Deal. The Green New Deal will completely destroy America's oil industry, America's coal industry, and many other related industries. You see, it has high expectations to reduce carbon emissions down to zero. Joe Biden wants to cut net carbon emissions down in half by the year 2030. That's only 9 years away, everyone. But what did the president of China say? The president of China said in response to President Joe Biden that he would ramp up production in China, increasing net carbon emissions up until 2035 and maybe beyond. And then he would come up with a plan to work China's net carbon emissions down approximately around to zero around 2060. But yet our president, Joe Biden, says that he wants to reduce carbon emissions down to zero by 2050, 10 years before President Xi of China says that he would even get his down for China's down to 2060. There is a lot wrong there. You have America committing and wanting to make into law these radical approaches to industry and to our economy when the rest of the world has no plan to implement any program to do anything like it. Right now, America is on top in the world. President Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, AOC, the rest of the Democrats are going to plunge America down to the bottom. This is absolute America last policies. They have to be stopped. We can't allow these things to happen.
Thank you for coming, everyone. This is an important issue that we need to talk. The American people have endured terrible things over the past year due to the shutdowns from COVID-19. And I'm very proud to sponsor the Fire Fauci Act, and I'm grateful to my colleagues here for co-sponsoring this bill because the American people deserve answers. The Fire Fauci Act will bring Dr. Fauci's salary down to zero and also will require the Senate to confirm someone to fill his position. You see, Dr. Fauci was not elected by the American people. He was not chosen to guide our economy. He was not chosen to rule over parents and their children's education. But yet, Dr. Fauci very much controlled our lives for the past year. Dr. Fauci, there is a lot of information that needs to come out on him. And as you all have seen with the emails that came out, that he owes the American people a lot of answers, but he also owes the world a lot of answers. These are emails that are very important that you all need to make sure that you're sharing with the public because the public has suffered greatly. Businesses have closed, small businesses have suffered. People have truly been depressed, health consequences. People have died alone in hospitals and nursing homes. Children's education has been delayed by a year. And then we even witness suicide numbers going up, not in just adults, but young people, people in college, children in high school, children in middle school, and even younger. This isn't how our country was set up, and this is not how people should be governed. But yet it's Dr. Fauci, and through his advice that constantly changed, that is how things happened. You see, there's a lot of evidence, and answers need to be found, and answers need to be given. And the American people deserve the answers, and accountability should be held for Dr. Fauci and all of those involved. And if American tax dollars went to the Wuhan lab and indeed funded this virus, which it's very clearly coming out that this is very much a man-made virus in a lab that has sickened the world and caused people to die. You see, people are really tired of there never being anyone held accountable, never anyone being fired. And that's why it's time to fire Dr. Anthony Fauci and give answers to the American people who, I mind you, this is the government that should be serving them, not the other way around. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon as we release the report about the DC jail and our findings there. Unusually cruel. That's the title that we gave this report because this is the treatment that we found of the pre-trial January 6th defendants being held right here in Washington, D.C. in the jail. Now, I will tell you, along with my colleagues here, which I'm very grateful to serve with them, we had been trying many times to get into the jail to take a tour, and we're used to doing that as members of Congress. We're used to touring facilities, and it's never been a problem. As a matter of fact, normally we're welcome. But we were denied entrance by Deputy Warden Landerkin multiple times. As a matter of fact, she'd locked us out before, and it was clear that there was a lot to hide. Right now, what we have happening in America is a two-tier justice system. Let's all take a little trip down memory lane, shall we? In the summer of 2020, there has been an estimated number somewhere around 7,750 to over 10,000 BLM demonstrations. According to the press, approximately 6% of them were violent. That's 570 riots if you do the math there. But here's the deal, there was only one riot that took place here in Congress at the Capitol on January 6th. But what we have seen unfold has been unbelievable. It is a two-tier justice system. So we know that approximately 90% and more of Antifa BLM rioters have been released from jail. Their charges have been dropped. We know that in cities across America, there have been over $2 billion in damage. But here at the Capitol on January 6th, it's approximately $1.5 million. There's a clear difference. But yet we have a January 6th committee that Nancy Pelosi is leading that is nothing but a political witch hunt on Republicans and Trump supporters all across America and anyone that was at the Capitol on January 6th. What's happening to these people being held in custody is wrong. It's unconstitutional. It's a violation of their rights. And it is an abuse that I call on every single member of Congress to start paying attention to. We need investigations. It's outrageous. The American people are purely upset, disgusted, and cannot believe this is happening in our country. And I think all of us should be appalled. You see, this jail in Washington, D.C. has been known. It's had many reports of being a despicable place as early as 1976. U.S. District Court Judge William Bryant ruled the conditions inside the jail violated the 8th Amendment's ban on cruel and unusual punishment. In 2015, a report filed showed the jail was plagued by mold, vermin, and water leaks. 2016, the jail had to move 200 inmates because of excessive heat. In November 2021, the Marshal Service found the CDF to be inhospitable, but yet people are still being housed there. But the January 6th defendants are being treated differently on a whole nother level. They have been beaten by the guards. They are called white supremacists. They are denied religious services, haircuts, shaving, the ability to trim their fingernails. There's more outrageous things happening there. They're denied time with their attorneys. They are denied the ability to even see their families and have their families visit there. They're denied bail and being held there without bail. Many of these people have never been charged for a crime before. Some of them are veterans, and the treatment is unbelievable. They are told they have to denounce President Trump. They are told that their views are the views of cult members, even though these are men that every single night at 9 o'clock at night, they put their hand over their heart and sing the national anthem voluntarily. Imagine a group of men being held in jail with no idea of when they're going to go to court, no ability to bail out, no ability to see their family, being mistreated and abused worse than we treat terrorists at Gitmo. Yet they have their hand over their heart every night at 9 o'clock and sing the national anthem. That's something I don't think any of us can fathom. While they're being persecuted by the very government that has the American flag over our buildings. This is completely wrong. Whether we agree, disagree, and I can tell you right now, I completely disagree and am very against the violence that happened on January 6th at the Capitol. We should all disagree with how these people are being treated. This is completely unacceptable, and as Americans, this should go beyond political boundaries, and we should all come together and declare that this is wrong and call for it to stop. We never want to have those in power to be able to weld their power against people they politically disagree with, especially in a time where we saw political riots all over the country, and the people that committed those riots, not only most of them have been let off of their charges, but many of them were never mistreated like this. I also want to explain something to you all. The Democrat platform, Act Blue, raised money for BLM, a lot of money. And BLM brought in millions and millions of dollars. But it was BLM violence and riots that were out of control. Many of these were peaceful demonstrations, but the riots that got out of control, those were assaults and violence on private property and private citizens. But yet here we see nothing day in and everything, day in and day out in the news. It's all about the Capitol riot. Congress only cares about itself. It clearly demonstrates to the American people. It does not care about your business that got burned down. It doesn't care about the job you lost. Congress doesn't care about your city or community that was devastated by violence. They don't care about you taxpayers that have to pay to fix and mend, and they don't care about the person that assaulted you, looted your store, or hurt you in this violence. They don't care about any of that. They only care about themselves. And they're willing to use the Department of Justice, the FBI, the prisons, the jails, the guards, and any means possible to make sure that you never mess with them again. This is wrong. It's unusually cruel. Now I'd like to hand over this time to Congressman Gohmert. Congressman Gohmert was the other only member of Congress that was able to tour the jail with me that day because I was only given a little over 15 minutes notice in time to get there that I was going to be allowed to get in. I would just like to ask all of you as members of the press to please read this report and share it with America. You have such a wonderful gift, the freedom of press, and Americans need to know. Whatever your political bias is, I ask you to please overlook it. That's what journalists are supposed to do. And share this information because I think it's our duty in this time to share the truth. Just as I've put in here about the jail and Congressman Gohmert put in this report about the jail, share it and please help people understand what's happening. And let's all work together to take a responsibility to not allow this to happen anymore in our country. We've got to do a better job. And I really want all of us to be part of it. As members of Congress, we're calling on our colleagues to step up, and we have to bring this to an end. We need a good justice system, not one that persecutes people. And as members of the press, I ask you to tell the truth and report it. It's your responsibility to do so. And now we'll open the floor for questions.
Congressman Greene, thank you for taking my question. Something that you mentioned during this press conference was the Black Lives Matter movement. And something that the proponents of Black Lives Matter talk about often is the criminal justice system, issues of mass incarceration, and so forth. And so I'm wondering, to what extent have your experiences touring the DC jail and seeing what conditions are like inside prisons, to what extent has that made you reflect on the criminal justice system writ large in this country and the potential for reform that people who are opposite you on the political spectrum often call for?
Well, looking in the jail, we put the full tour in there. So there's a lot of detail about every single part of the jail. Now, here's what I can say about criminal justice reform. I do not think it's good for anyone in prison to have to read Nation of Islam newspapers and that be one of the only publications they have, or information or curriculum that informs them because of the color of their skin. This is why they're being treated this way. I don't think that is good to rehabilitate anyone. I think in prisons and jail we should rehabilitate people, and that has to do with job skills, education, and building character so that when they leave there, they're able to have a really good second chance. And those are the things I believe in and I would like to work on. As far as the difference in the jail, though, it's very clear. The January 6th defendants, they were not allowed to participate in any of the continuing education curriculums that we were shown that other inmates and other pretrial defendants are allowed to participate in. The January 6th defendants are not allowed to participate in job training like the other inmates and defendants are allowed to participate in. The January 6th defendants are not allowed to participate in mock trials that there was a third-year law school student there helping other inmates learn how to handle the courtroom and what to do. None of those things were offered for the January 6th defendants. They were isolated in a separate wing of the jail where they are abused, where they are ridiculed, where they are mocked because of their political beliefs and because of January 6th and because of the color of their skin. So there is a two-tier justice system, and these are the things that need to end. I believe in criminal justice reform, but I believe it should be reform that's fair completely across political lines and skin color. And I can tell you what we saw in the D.C. jail, none of that exists. Yes, ma'am.
So Democrats are poised to use January 6th throughout the midterms on their messaging points. Is this an issue you think Republicans can mobilize around for next year as well?
I think that every Republican voter, and I think many Americans, independents and Democrats that I've spoken to and have asked me questions, they care about January 6th because they see the clear hypocrisy. You see, here's the problem with a lot of political consultants and people running for office. They forget that people aren't stupid. As a matter of fact, American people are really smart. And they're able to see when they're being lied to, such as when there's big political biases in the press. They're able to see when on a campaign ad on the television that, oh yeah, you want to show me the riot at the Capitol over and over again? Well, I remember the riots that went on in 2020, and they can drive down the road in their city and still see the burnt down car dealerships or stores and remember all the looting that took place and the police officers that were attacked. So I don't think this is about campaigns. I think this is about real events and what happened to the American people here in our country. Yes, sir.
One question for you and one question for Judge Foreman. The D.C. Circuit, this is for you, the D.C. Circuit already ruled that most January 6th defendants should be released. But those who, quote, actually assaulted police officers, broke through windows, doors, and barricades, and those who aided, conspired to plan or coordinate such actions are in a different category of dangerousness than those who cheered on the violence or entered the Capitol after others cleared the way. Most defendants who are facing charges from January 6th have been released. Why are you choosing to single out these defendants who multiple courts have already found are in a different category of dangerousness as people who should be released and who are being treated unfairly when you say they shouldn't be detained at all, but the judges have found differently. Isn't your beef with them?
I think there's a big political bias playing in the courts here in Washington, D.C., especially with the public defenders. The January 6th defendants that I spoke to and asked questions to in the jail said that if they have a public defender, they said their public defenders hate them. And they're being represented because they're poor and they can't afford to pay a lawyer, and they're being represented by public defenders that call them white supremacists, tell them they have to denounce President Trump, tell them they have to denounce their political views, want them to watch videos and read books that basically is critical race theory training in order for them to have this public defender represent them. You see, that's a political bias in the court. Let me go further. I'm not involved in anyone's cases here, and I'm not defending any of the actions that happened at the Capitol, nor will I, because as I said before, I didn't like it and I don't agree with it. I objected to electoral college votes, but I wasn't a part of the riot and was shocked when it happened. But what I will tell you is the treatment of these people is absolutely wrong, and I spoke to people in the jail there that were not charged with violent crimes that walked through the Capitol. So when you see people being held indefinitely, and they've been held in solitary confinement 22, 23 hours a day, being held in a prison cell where their bathroom, their toilet doesn't work, and they have to hold it for more than 20 hours in order for them to wait to be able to use the toilet when they're let out, when they're being force-fed gluten food and they have celiac disease, and so the food that they eat makes them sick every single day to the point where they will go without days
days without eating in order to just feel better because they are not given better food. I think we can clearly see that there is serious abuse happening here, and we can go beyond the silly-dilly political games. I think we need to break down to the facts, and I'll hand it over to Congressman Gomer. Is this for me?
It can just stay right where it is.
Oh, it can stay there. Okay, great. Thank you. Well, thank you for coming, and I really appreciate you coming to my office and letting me speak with you all about censorship. As probably most of you know, I was suspended or I guess banned on Twitter for 12 hours last night after, or they said it was 2 tweets that I had tweeting information that anyone can have access to on the internet, looking up and reading. Also saying things that not most, but regular Americans all over the country say, a lot of people in my district, a lot of people in Georgia, but also people from all over the country say these things. They're concerned about the vaccines that are not FDA approved. Now, my stance has been the entire time, I am for people getting the vaccine if they choose to, and I'm for people not getting the vaccine if they choose to. But I think it has to be a choice and not a mandate. Not mandated by schools, not mandated by businesses, and not mandated by the government. And this is an important issue for everyone. See, right now, we have many reports of side effects from the vaccines, and according to the CDC website that anyone can look up, there are reports of over 12,000 deaths. You see, I put on my tweet 6,000, but I just checked, it's been updated, and it's over 12,000 now. And this is important information for people to know. Also, I tweeted about how obesity is one of the biggest risk factors for people with COVID-19 that leads to hospitalization and death. And this is a very important thing that I don't see enough people talking about. If we care about people and we care about their health and we care about their safety, then we should care about helping them with the #1 risk factor that could lead to hospitalization or death, and that is obesity. This is also an issue that leads to many other medical problems, as well as high costs in health care. So I think this is something that people should be talking about. If we're going to talk about going door to door to victims of COVID-19, this Chinese virus, Dr. Fauci very much was involved in funding the gain-of-function research. This is a virus that has been made. It's a man-made virus, and the proof is coming out more and more. There was a hearing today in the Senate, and I went and listened to the hearing, and I've watched a lot of the video from the hearing, and we are finding out, and it's becoming conclusive, and I think we need to see China share more information with us about COVID-19, but this very much looks to be what we would call a bioweapon. Otherwise, why would we have Dr. Fauci funding gain-of-function, which takes a virus that's spread from animal to animal and then turns it into a virus that can be spread from human to human? That's what a bioweapon is. And now it has sickened the countries all over the world and killed so many people. Yet Dr. Fauci is sitting up on the grand stage and being treated as if he's some sort of hero, when in fact he played a part in funding COVID-19, and then he lied to us over and over and over. You can look back in 2020, early in the year, where he is saying on CNN that COVID-19 is going to kill millions and millions of Americans. And this is exactly how he was advising President Trump. Millions of Americans are going to die. But yet in his personal emails, he was stating that it was going to be several 100,000 people. You see, you can't say one thing in private and then advise differently in public. This man is the highest paid employee in the federal government, more than the President of the United States. Yet, he's not elected. And his words have guided this nation and how many elected officials in cities and states and our federal government has made decisions that have affected all of our lives. but my voice needs to be suspended and banned on Twitter for talking about these things, that's wrong. Do you know where this happens in the world, everyone? Communist China. When China doesn't like someone, when they don't like what they're saying, they don't like their political beliefs, and they don't agree with them, they silence them. And you know, that's what happened on Twitter. Acting like corporate communists. When we have social media platforms, when we have any kind of organization that is silencing our voices simply because they don't agree or they don't like it, and they don't like the discussion, that's a violation of our First Amendment, our free speech. And as Americans, I would think that is something that we would all find to be so precious that we would all want to do everything we can to protect it. Because imagine if the shoe's on the other foot. What about when Republicans gain back control? Do you want Republicans silencing Democrats' speech? That would be wrong. We can't ever become a nation where we are silencing people because we don't agree or we don't like the questions they're asking and we're not willing to have those discussions. We're just saying what this person is saying is wrong and that's misinformation and that's not the narrative we want to go in the public. But this is where we are. Conservatives are banned, censored, and kicked off of social media every single day. Our former president, President Trump, is banned from social media everywhere because no one wants to hear his voice in the social media circles. Big tech does not like what President Trump has to say. So here we are in a place where it's getting out of control. I'm an elected member of Congress. I represent Georgia's 14th district. My voice is the elected voice for my district, but yet Twitter wants to suspend me, and people all over Twitterverse are cheering and saying I should be kicked off. And this is completely wrong. Imagine this. Not too long ago, I was sued by a communist PAC for banning them from my page because of the horrible, nasty things they were saying to me on my Twitter page. And they sued me because you want to know what they said? They said that they could not see what I was saying. By being banned from my Twitter page, I was stopping their First Amendment, and they couldn't see what I was saying. Therefore, they couldn't participate. But yet Twitter suspended me for 12 hours. So you know what that really means? That bans everyone from seeing what I had to say. So what? Should this PAC sue Twitter now? Should people sue Twitter because they're banning my voice? You see, it's a hypocrisy. And these are the things that we can't allow to stand. I will not stop speaking. I will not stop tweeting. I will not stop posting. I will not stop asking questions. Because if you have members of Congress that aren't asking questions, then I don't know what kind of country we're going to have. But the reason why I am promoting this Fire Fauci Act is because we have a federal government employee that has lied, and it is public record this man has lied. Senator Rand Paul talked about it today in the hearing, in the Senate hearing. But yet he is still running the show as if he is center stage, and that is a problem. You see, in the private world, when people lie and they mislead people in their jobs, they get fired. All of you are members of the press and you work for media companies, and if you were to lie on the job and you were to mislead people or you were to do something wrong, and someone might argue and say you do mislead people, but your company would fire you. However, here we are, we have Dr. Anthony Fauci that just continues to keep doing his job and saying whatever he wants, but yet he funded to the Wuhan lab the gain-of-function research that allowed COVID-19 to become what it is, to kill people. And I think he needs to be fired. And so do millions and millions of Americans. And I think it's perfectly fine to talk about this on social media. After all, that's what social media started as, a place for people to meet, to communicate, to share thoughts and ideas. And there's nothing wrong with it. And with that, I'll go ahead and let you guys ask some questions.
In that same vein, Congresswoman, do you think that you should resign for misleading people about
Identify yourself
coronavirus?
after the question.
Jackie Alamany from the Washington Post.
Okay, no, I think that's absurd. I have not misled anyone. I've not put out misinformation. So no, that I would not
tweeted
even
over the
consider
weekend
it.
that coronavirus was not dangerous for people under the age of 65 who are not obese, which is factually inaccurate.
You know what? There's all kinds of things that are dangerous for people under 65 and not obese. Car accidents are dangerous. The flu is dangerous. Pneumonia is dangerous. There's many things that are dangerous for people under 65 and people that are not obese. I was talking about the highest amount of deaths, the highest risk factor is for the older people and the people that fall into obesity. And those are the facts that you can simply look up.
Are you worried about
Next question? Yes.
What's your reaction to the House Ethics Committee rejecting your appeal of the mask fine?
Well, number one, 4 out of 5 of the Democrats on that committee have their name on a resolution to expel me from Congress. And so when I went in for that hearing, I asked for them to recuse themselves, which I don't know if they did recuse themselves because they didn't produce a record of their vote. So that is something I would like to find out, because I think it's wrong. If they're signing a resolution to expel me, then they shouldn't be the people voting on the committee. I think that's definitely a conflict of interest. Yes.
Alex Nazarian, Yahoo News. Did President Trump lie when he said the election was stolen from him?
That we're here talking about my tweets, we're talking about Twitter suspensions, we're talking about Anthony Fauci, and I'm looking forward to all of the election audits to see what happened. There's a lot of evidence, you know, thousands of people have signed their name on saying at risk of perjury in court, saying that they witnessed election fraud, and I think those people should be heard. Yes.
Hey, Robert Draper with the New York Times. How many times now over the last 4 years have you been suspended or banned from a social media company?
That is a very good question. I don't remember the exact count.
Voice of God.
A lot. I think it's been 3 times on Twitter this year.
4 times, I think, now.
4 times now. Multiple times on Facebook. I think one time was like 30 days on Facebook. Yeah,
so
a good bit.
Yeah, is your objection to a private business doing what they're doing like this, that they should not be allowed to establish these kinds of rules of the road over what can and can't be said, or is your objection that they are doing it arbitrarily, only to one side rather than to all sides?
Well, you see, Twitter is. I'll speak specifically on Twitter. Here's what is just. It's hard for me to even comprehend it. Twitter is prolific with porn. There's porn all over Twitter. There are all kinds of people all over Twitter. We have leaders in foreign countries. Many people all over the world are on Twitter, but it seems to be the only people they heavily censor and ban are conservative Americans. And this is an American company. So this is why conservative Americans are always outraged and appalled at why are we the only ones censored and banned when Twitter's a platform that has disgusting porn, it has had terrorists, it has had all kinds of criminals, all kinds of people.
But do you think those things should be banned also?
It's had people talking about killing President Trump. I mean, these are any kind. If anyone is threatening to kill a president, why would they have a Twitter page?
Right.
But yet, if I tweet about talking about COVID-19 or people are concerned about the vaccines, I get suspended
so
for 12 hours. So
it's not so much that they shouldn't ban people, it's that it's hypocritical and arbitrary, the means by which they're doing so? Is that what you're saying? Or?
It's very targeted, it's political, and it's very obvious, and it's obvious to everyone. They target, ban, and censor conservative Americans.
Have you been warned at all from Twitter about being banned permanently? Because you said this is like your 4th time and you keep posting things that Twitter says is, violating its rules. Are you worried about a permanent ban?
I don't think we've gotten a notification for that. I don't believe we've gotten that one, Tia. Yeah, yes.
How many Democratic co-sponsors do you have on the Fauci lied bill?
No Democrat co-sponsors. No Democrat co-sponsors. No.
You got Emily Brooks, Washington Examiner. I was wondering, given the possibility of being permanently banned out there, is there any alternative free speech like social media platform that you like or would gravitate to, like Parler or Getter, and would you recommend President Trump joining one of those?
I don't, you know what, I don't have a personal favorite of mine. Since I've been a member of Congress, it's hard to really explore them completely. I think President Trump right now finds that putting out his statements via email works really well because everyone's sharing them everywhere. For him, that works really well. And I hadn't really thought past the fact that Twitter just shouldn't censor and ban people of what I might do. Yes.
Aaron Navarro, CBS News. Whip Scalise said today he got vaccinated, citing this Delta variant that's going around, and said he's confident that it's safe and effective. Two questions. Have you yourself gotten vaccinated, and do you disagree with the Republican whip?
Well, your first question is a violation of my HIPAA rights. You see, with HIPAA rights, we don't have to reveal our medical records, and that also involves our vaccine records.
And do you disagree with Whip Scalise when he says he's confident the vaccine is safe and effective?
Oh, no, I don't disagree with him. I just think it should be everyone's choice. That is what I've been saying. No one should be discriminated against because they choose to not get the vaccine. And I don't believe people should be discriminated against for choosing not to wear masks. But I will tell you something I absolutely do disagree with. I disagree with the recommendation for children to be wearing masks. I think that is completely wrong. Children, especially young children, need to see adults' faces. They need to see each other's faces. This is what helps them learn emotion and expression. It's how they play and talk with one another. It helps them phonetically. It helps them with their speech. And I think it's more harmful, specifically harmful to children, for them to wear masks. And our kids are healthy. Most children are extremely healthy. And most children are not at risk of having serious problems or death from COVID-19.
And on Twitter, have you been in contact with them in terms of appealing this latest ban?
I have not been in contact with them yet. I've tried to contact them in the past, and I don't really get any response.
Congresswoman, Leader
Yes.
McConnell said today that he wanted to encourage everybody to get a vaccine and to ignore all of those other voices that are giving demonstrably bad advice. Do you encourage your constituents to get vaccinated?
I encourage people to make up their own mind. And again, it's each person's individual choice. And I think it's very important to keep it that way and also make sure no one is discriminated against. I don't believe in discrimination on any grounds, whether it's race, religion, sexual preferences, mask, vaccines, whatever. I just don't believe in discrimination.
Are you worried that not encouraging people to get vaccinated is causing people to make harmful decisions that will ultimately lead in more death?
No, I am not worried about that at all. I'm encouraging people to make up their own mind.
But aren't you also discouraging them by spreading misinformation? You said that 6,000 deaths are related to the vaccine, and that's not backed up by science.
Well, actually, on the CDC website, Tia, and I really hope you look it up.
I looked it up.
It says
that
right
people
here.
died after the vaccine, but not necessarily
Right.
that the
It says
vaccine
during this
caused
time,
it.
VAERS received 12,313 reports of death among people who received a COVID-19 vaccine.
But that doesn't mean the vaccine caused it, right?
But it may mean that it caused it. We don't know, and I think this needs to be investigated. I think it's important to investigate it, don't you? Don't we want to know the truth?
The question
As
is,
a journalist, you definitely want to know the truth, right? So you can report that, because after all, you're reporting a lot of information, which means what you report makes you responsible as well.
And the question, the Twitter tagged your tweet that said the vaccine caused death as misinformation. Are you spreading
That's Twitter.
misinformation?
Is Twitter the CDC? I don't believe so. I don't think Twitter is in charge of our government, is it? I think you need to analyze the angle you're coming from. Twitter is not in charge of what information is correct and what information is incorrect. And you see, that's another problem, because Twitter is declaring itself the judge of whose voice is right and whose voice is wrong. But wouldn't it be appropriate for us to investigate these 12,000 deaths and find out, did the vaccine cause their death? What else caused their death? What exactly happened there before the FDA approves this vaccine. I think that'd be the better thing.
You've called the
Yes.
vaccine experimental. You've pointed out the deaths, the side effects. You've said just say no. President Trump, who you are allies with, you're very loyal to him. He has said the vaccine is saving the world. He's gotten it. He's called it safe and effective. He has almost never disparaged it or called it experimental. To what do you account for this disparity between the two of you, who agree on just about everything?
We're not in disagreement. So I call it experimental because that is exactly how it's labeled. It is labeled for experimental use. So that term is correct. It's what everyone's calling it. That is the type of use it's in because it's not FDA approved. President Trump should be proud of the accomplishment that his administration made, along with Vice President Pence. They worked very hard on this, and it was a miracle for them to come up with a vaccine in such a short amount of time. But what I am saying is it shouldn't be forced. It shouldn't be mandated. Information needs to be found out. There are reports of side effects. There are obviously reports of deaths. And I think these are important things to check out before it's FDA approved. But here we have colleges requiring students to be vaccinated before students can return to college. I mean, we just had this young lady that lost her scholarship. I believe it was $200,000 scholarship over at Brigham Young, and she's losing her scholarship because she doesn't want to get the vaccine, and her doctor said it would put her in high risk because of a medical condition that she currently has. There was a 13-year-old boy in Michigan that just recently died after taking the vaccine. You see, there's a lot of things happening, and I think it's important for us to analyze all of it before governments and schools and businesses say, absolutely, you have to take this vaccine. It shouldn't be mandated, and people shouldn't be treated wrongly or judged harshly because they are just saying, I don't want to take the vaccine.
But why do you think President Trump, who's the leader of your political movement, why do you think he hasn't come out and said, I don't think people should be forced to take the vaccine? He hasn't come out and said, be careful of the side effects, be careful, it's experimental. He's just said, this is a good thing, this is a big accomplishment on my part, you should take the vaccine. Why is he not highlighting the same issue?
I think you have to ask him that question. That's not for me to answer. Yes, ma'am.
So when it gets to a point where it is fully FDA approved and not experimental, at that point, will you be okay with the mandates for vaccines? Will you encourage people to get it?
I'm going to always be in the camp of it should be people's choice. I just think it should be their choice. I just think we're going down a really bad road when we're telling people you have to do this, and if you don't do it, you're excluded. You're treated like a second-class citizen. You're not allowed on campus. You're going to be fired from your job. We're not going to let you in church because you refuse to take this FDA-approved vaccine. I just think that's the wrong place for us to go as Americans.
Well, there are a lot of other vaccines
so
that are also mandated.
That's one issue, the mandates.
Mm-hmm.
But is it a separate issue that the health side effects of the vaccines? I mean, do you believe, knowing what you know now, do you think that it was inadvisable of the administration to release these vaccines without FDA approval?
I don't think so. I think, this is an extraordinary times.
Right.
I don't want to criticize anyone's judgment there. This is certainly a pandemic we've never had before. And it's also a virus that was developed, unfortunately, through our tax dollars, through Dr. Fauci, and made in a Wuhan lab. And the purpose of it seems to be a bioweapon. Now, the questions I think we should be asking is not only like we need to analyze the side effects and why are these deaths being reported, we also need to ask China a lot of questions.
Do you think they'll tell us?
I would handle China a lot differently. I certainly would not allow anyone involved with the CCP in our colleges and universities. I would not give student visas to any students that are loyal to the CCP. I certainly would not allow Chinese businesses to function inside of our country if they're loyal to the CCP. And I would demand for China to tell us what is the protocol that you've developed when it comes down to COVID-19. And then secondly, China, how many other bioweapons do you have? What are they? And what are you planning to do with them? See, I think these are the questions all of us should be asking because China really is our common enemy. And we should look at China very much through those eyes, and at least through Republicans and Democrats. I would hope to God we can come together on
Given
that.
that, you don't expect a level, would you? Do you? I mean, even if we prevented CCP members from going to our colleges, do you think they'd say, oh, okay, yeah, all right, now we'll tell you?
Well, China's long-term goal is they want to be the #1 country in the world. They want to dominate us economically. They want to dominate our military. They want to dominate us in every single way. And that is what they're trying to do.
Right.
And if America, if our government, if all of us together don't get serious about who China is and what their goals are, then we're the fools, aren't we? And we really would be foolish to ignore this great threat. And so in my eyes, I think, I take people at their word. China seriously wants to dominate the entire world. When Joe Biden is talking about adapting the Green New Deal and moving towards those policies and saying we're going to cut down our carbon emissions down to net zero, do you know what China is saying? They're saying they're going to increase their carbon emissions. You want to know why? Because they want to grow their economy much bigger than ours. That is a very foolish road for us to go down. And so my encouragement is to everyone, Republicans, Democrats, all of us Americans, we seriously need to take a hard look at China and get on the same page and stop this threat. That how many other bioweapons are there? What other things would they do? What links would they go to dominate the entire world?
But are you saying, people think it may have escaped from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, but you're saying it didn't escape, that they made a weapon?
That's not what I said. That's not what I said. No, yeah, I said that it was developed to be a bioweapon, but I did not say what you just said. You're trying to put words in my mouth.
Okay, well, can you explain what happened to the bioweapon?
I think China needs to explain it.
Well, what do you believe may have happened?
I wasn't there, so I think China needs to explain
If they were
it. China
developing-
owes us answers.
Maybe developing as a bioweapon, but it somehow accidentally escapes. In other words, those two aren't mutually exclusive.
I think there needs to be serious investigations, and we need to tell China, look, we need to tell them, if you do not come clean and tell the truth and tell the entire world what happened with this, then America is responsible to have some sort of tariffs are a great way to deal with China. They care about money and business. They want their students in our country. Send them back. Send these people back out of our colleges. Stop them. We should stop their ability to fund our universities. We should put rules in place to protect our country until China is willing to be honest and truthful. I think that's what we should do. As parents, I don't know what kind of parents everyone else, or even if you have children, there's consequences when your kids do something wrong. And if you don't make consequences, then you raise children that don't understand that. So if our dealings with China and any other country in the world is that we just lay down and let them do whatever they want, well, I don't think we're going to be able to handle that very well. It's just not a good way. It's not good policy.
Congresswoman
Good morning. This is my 5th year in Congress, and this is the largest press conference that I've seen since I've been here. And this is because this is an issue that matters so much to Americans. This is an issue that doesn't have political boundaries. It's an issue that Republicans and Democrats should never fight about. As a matter of fact, it's such an important issue that it should bring us all together. It's grieved me to watch the arguments and debates take place among my colleagues and even the administration. I think this is something that is worth fighting for. You see, the women behind me are going to tell you stories that you've never heard before. These are unimaginable horrors that they've lived with for their entire lives since they were very, very young. But these are also similar stories that many children, teenagers, women, and even men are enduring nightmares right now as we speak. You see, these women have been fighting since the 1990s. I heard one woman tell us yesterday since 1996. And they have carried with them shame. But I want to tell you something. The shame does not fall on these brave, courageous women. The shame falls on every single person that coldly turned a blind eye to their abuse. The shame falls on every single person that enabled it. The shame falls on every single person that took money to continue it. And the shame falls on the people in power over the past several decades that protected the monster, Jeffrey Epstein, and his cabal that continued a nightmare. Those people deserve the shame. And today we are coming forward and we are going to fight like hell for these women, because we have to fight like hell for those that are enduring sexual abuse and are living in a prison of shame. Anyone that is being abused, it is not your fault. You should live with no guilt or fear or shame. All of the fault belongs to the evil people that do these things to the innocent. This is the most important fight we can wage here in Congress, is fighting for innocent people that never receive justice. And the women behind me have never received justice. And do you want to know why? It's because Jeffrey Epstein somehow was able to walk among the most rich, powerful people, not only in America, but foreign countries. Yesterday, I heard countries like Saudi Arabia, Russia, and even Israel, and other countries. The truth needs to come out, and the government holds the truth. The cases that are sealed hold the truth. Jeffrey Epstein's estate holds the truth. The FBI, the DOJ, and the CIA holds the truth. And the truth we are demanding come out on behalf of these women, but also as a strong message to every innocent child, teenager, woman, and man that is being held captive in abuse. This should never happen in America, and it should never be a political issue that divides us. And I want to thank Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie for doing something brave, crossing political boundaries for a very important fight. And I'm honored to join both of them. And I'm honored that Nancy Mace and Lauren Boebert signed the discharge petition along with myself. And I asked my Republican colleagues not to choose just one path for justice and transparency and accountability, but I asked my Republican colleagues to choose every path for justice and accountability and transparency.